Challenges in organizational behavior. First challenge is globalization. Globalization is a process of interaction and integration among the people, companies, and government of different nations. This is driven by international trade, technologies, finance, and investment. This process will affect on environment, culture, political system, economic development, and business and work organization. The term globalization is derived from the word globalize, which refers to the emergence of an international network of economic system. According to sociologists Martin Albro and Elizabeth King, define globalization as all those processes by which the people of the world are incorporated into a single world society. For example, driving cars from all over the world. The goal of globalization is to provide organizations with a competitive advantage through lower operating costs and the gain of greater numbers of products, services, and consumers. One of the key ways is done through diversification of resources, opening up additional markets, and accessing new raw materials. And indeed, it has brought the entire world together with multinational corporations manufacturing, buying, and selling goods across the globe. Organizational behavior is a field of study that investigates the impact that individuals, groups, and structures have on behavior within an organization for the purpose of applying such technology towards improving an organization's effectiveness. Globalization in organization means to increase their base of operation, expand their workforce with minimal investment, and provide new service to a broad range of customers. Globalization has become a challenge to an organizational behavior because as organizations become more global, their workforce has become culturally diverse. Globalization has created a large shift in organizational behavior as increasing diversity has brought people together of different backgrounds, different values, cultures, and beliefs, all working together for common objective. The second challenge posed by globalization on organizational behavior is that globalization threatens the unification of corporate culture. With increasing globalization, it is becoming apparent that the organizational culture is becoming irrelevant, whereas the global culture is increasing its relevance. As a result, organizations are faced with the challenge of establishing a corporate culture that meets the demands of global culture. This imposes significant challenge several domains of organizations such as human resource strategies and increasing their sensitivity to diverse cultures. This is a significant challenge because organizations are compelled to align their organizational culture with global trends, and this threatens the unification of a corporate culture, which is a defining factor for organizational success. The challenge for organizations is striking a balance between the demand of corporate culture at the organizational level and global cultural trends. Therefore, it can be argued that globalization threatens the firm's fundamental values, norms, and dispositions that shape the reasons for the firm's existence. Lastly, the challenge of globalization as regards organization behavior relates to organizational relations, which refer to how individuals in the organization treat and interact with each other. It is apparent that globalization has negative impact on the facet of organization relationships, such as collaboration, supportiveness, involvement, and openness, and trust. This increases the difficulty in the establishment of a shared corporate culture.
Secondly, it is workforce diversity. Workforce diversity means that organizations are becoming more heterogeneous, which similarities and differences among employees can be in terms of age, cultural background, physical abilities and disabilities, race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and also in their perspectives and prejudices. Surface level diversity is the observable demographic or physiological differences in people such as their race, ethnicity, gender, race and physical disabilities. According to Pale, proposed that the more visible a particular type of diversity, the stronger its association with relationship conflict. Within a work group, therefore, a person's demographic distinctiveness may result in feelings of hostility towards other group members. Surface level dissimilarity had a negative effect on social integration under law, but not under high team interdependence. In return, social integration fully mediated the negative relationship between surface level dissimilarity and individual effectiveness related outcomes under law interdependence. Deep level diversity is differences in the psychological characteristics of employees, including personalities, beliefs, values, and attitudes. It is not as visible as surface level diversity, but it can be seen in a person's decisions, statements, and actions. Personality can be measured by the 5-factor model can affect perceptions of deep level dissimilarity. First, as extraversion rises, individuals become more likely to perceive themselves as similar rather than dissimilar to members of their work group on unobservable qualities. If individuals feel their values, attitudes, or personality is different from other members of their work group, they might expect that social interactions could be compromised. They feel they will be understood and appreciated. Consequences of deep level diversity and dissimilarity is that people from diverse backgrounds have often learned about some topics, but from different perspectives. When these people communicate about these topics with each other, they may initially feel disturbed by their disparities, but over time develop greater knowledge. That is, their ability on a broader range of problems and questions tend to improve significantly. In current scenario, employing diversified workforce is a necessity for every organization, but to manage such diversified workforce is also a big challenge for management. For example, no two workers were alike, and she or he need to be able to develop with older and younger colleagues, those who were married or single, and those from the United States as well as any number of other countries. The significance of workforce diversity is organizations able to minimize the productivity, enhance creativity, getting competitive advantage, and satisfy diverse needs of customers. A multicultural organization is one in which employees of different backgrounds, experiences, and cultures can contribute and achieve their fullest potential for the benefit of both themselves and the organizations. Developing a multicultural organization is a significant step in managing a diverse workforce and may be crucial in sustaining a competitive advantage in the marketplace. Diversity in the workplace today is many companies now claim that diversity is important to them, especially on their websites. However, it is clear that it is only in response to the many lawsuits they have faced. Overall, the popular refrain is that workforce diversity is a sound business proposition. Unfortunately, the effects of diversity on organization is much more complex. There is growing evidence that most forms of diversity creates challenges. Teams with diverse employees usually take longer to perform effectively. Diversity brings numerous communications problems as well as fault lines in informal groups dynamics. Diversity is also a source of conflicts, which can lead to lack of information sharing and, extreme cases, moral problems and higher turnover.
Thirdly, evolving employment relationship. The employment relationship is by definition a relationship between an employee and an employer. The state influences the employment relationship directly through laws on wages, for example, minimum wages, and working conditions such as on hours of work. The role of work-life balance has a direct relation in employees' decision to stay or leave the organization. Schedule flexibility is a work arrangement whereby employees are allowed to decide the time of day they start and stop their job-related work, usually around a band of core hours where each employee must be present. In the context of the employer-employee relationship, is a relationship where it helps workers find opportunities, find resources, make decisions more effectively, and manage essentially a long-term investment in a lifetime career. Employers are encouraged to focus on developing long-term, trusted relationships with their employees using a framework of openness and honesty, which calls the new employer-employee alliance. An organization with a good employee relations program provides fair and consistent treatment to all employees so they will be committed to their jobs and loyal to the company. Such programs also aim to prevent and resolve problems arising from situations at work. An effective employee relations program starts with clear written policies. Employee relation policies describe the company's philosophy, rules, and procedures for addressing employee-related matters and resolving problems in the workplace. The most important element for successful relationships with employees is communication. To feel engaged in the business, employees need to be informed of what's going on with the company, including management's plans and how those plans may affect their jobs. Employees will be more engaged if they feel like they are recognized for their efforts and ideas. Employees can be rewarded for their years of service or for an outstanding contribution or achievement. Contingent work or casual work is an employment relationship which is considered non-permanent. These jobs are typically part-time, have limited job security and result in payment on a piece work basis. Contingent work is usually not considered to be a career or part of a career. It usually offers little or no opportunity for career development. Contingent workers are also often called freelancer, independent professionals, temporary contract work, independent contractors, or consultant. These workers are hired to complete specified tasks under a statement of work provision. Once the project is over, they leave, though they may be called back when another project arises. The business owner has no responsibility to provide continuous work on a permanent basis. Advantages of a contingent workforce is that for business owners, the advantages of a contingent workforce are mostly financial. They don't have to offer health benefits, provide paid sick days and vacation days or pay for overtime. This not only saves time, significant money associated with recruiting and hiring permanent employees, but it also allows them to save on administrative costs associated with payroll and human resources too. Another added benefit of the contingent workforce is increased flexibility. When an influx of work arises or a sudden urgent project comes up, a contingent worker can be hired to perform the extra work. Once business slows down again, the business owner is not stuck paying a salary for a worker that isn't vital to the organization, which is especially important in a fragile economy. There is no need to lay off workers when you have a contingent workforce. Then the disadvantages of a contingent workforce is virtually every business decision will also have its disadvantages. For hiring a contingent workforce, one of these drawbacks is lack of control on the end of the business owners. They cannot rely on contingent workers to be available during specific hours to handle business needs, and they cannot manage how the work is done. Furthermore, using a contingent workforce brings on a whole slew of task risks. If a business owner declares someone an independent worker when in fact he should be classified as an employee, the company can be hit with fines and penalties on top of having to pay the taxes owing for that.
Lastly, the challenge is visual work. Virtual is becoming more and more commonplace in the globalized and increasingly complex business environment. To adapt, many organizations are adopting technologies and policies to implement virtual work practices. However, it is important to understand the potential barriers and facilitators of the take-up of virtual work practices among employees. Virtual work, or work away from a central office using technology, is becoming more prominent for several reasons. With the globalization of work and technological advancement in recent years, and with emphasis on service quality today, organizations have changed. It has emerged as the new employment relationship and has been embraced by employees and employers in many industries. Primarily, increasing demand for virtual work comes from employees' increasing desire and need for flexibility in their work hours, in addition to how and where their work is performed. Other reasons for the increase in virtual work include the potential savings on corporate travel and real estate for employers and the necessity for it in today's globalizing and increasingly complex business environment, increased productivity, higher profit, and improved customer service. A positive virtual work climate would require perceptions that the environment, including the structure and processes of the organization and individual support and encouragement regarding working remotely via computer-mediated communication and collaboration tools, allow the individuals to successfully adopt virtual work practices. As organizations change the ways in which people communicate with one another, how they actually do their jobs changes as well. One of the changes that has been introduced in recent years is the use of virtual teams. For many years, we have seen organizations use conference call, teleconferencing, and telecommunicating as ways of helping people do their jobs more effectively, efficiently, and conveniently. Keeping any team working together and communicating effectively is always a challenge, but with virtual teams, these issues are far more of a concern. We know that it is necessary and important for people in an organization to keep in touch on a regular basis, and in most organizations today, that is becoming increasingly difficult even with improved communication technologies. Potential disadvantages of virtual work. For individual employees, the additional cost required to equip a mobile or home office. In addition, to be viable, virtual office require online materials that can be downloaded and printed, database on products, and customers that are accessible from remote location. Secondly, the feelings of isolation, where some level of social interaction with supervisors and co-workers is essential in almost all jobs. Without it, workers feel isolated and out of the loop with respect to crucial communication and contact with decision makers who can make or break their careers. Thirdly, virtual work causes lack of trust between the supervisors and teamwork. A key ingredient to the success of virtual work arrangement is trust that one's co-workers will fulfill their obligations and behave predictably. Lack of trust and undermine every other precaution taken to ensure successful virtual work arrangement, such as careful selection of employees to work in the virtual environment. Various surveys estimate that between 15 and 25% of Australian employees, excluding owners and self-employed, telework some of the time, and that 2/3 of large Australian companies offer eligible staff the opportunity to telework. Studies in the United States indicate that around 30% of employees in that country work at home at least one day each month. More than 10% of Japanese employees telework at least one day each week, a figure that the Japanese government wants to double within the next few years. Against these potential benefits, virtual workers face a number of real or potential challenges. Family relations may suffer rather than improve if employees lack sufficient space and resources for a home office. Some virtual workers complain of social isolation and reduced promotion opportunities. Virtual work is clearly better suited to people who are self-motivated and organized, can work effectively with contemporary information technologies, and have sufficient fulfillment of social needs elsewhere in their life. It also works better in organizations that evaluate employees by their performance outcomes rather than face time.
Created using Powtoon.